I'm going to take a few minutes and just, I won't be long, but I wanted to, the team, our pastoral team here is going to talk just a little bit about, and we're going to talk about the upcoming year, what we feel is in our hearts. And I'm going to pretty much leave that more to Amy and Pastor John. They're the everyday people here. This you know, they're this church. This is their, not that I'm not an everyday type of person, but the buck stops there. We all realize that. So I'm going to leave a lot of that to them. I am going to tell you some things that I have foreseen to challenge some people on going forward. Don't throw that up there until I tell you to. You ready to do that? Because I wanted to show you something, and I've shown this church, or I've told them about it before. This is my ESPN app. It's not supposed to be going on. It wasn't good. I brought it up here for a time measure. I want to say something about Thane real quick. I was here when Thane was born. In fact, I was here when Zion was born. But here when Kelsey was born, yeah, 1997, we started coming in. And I don't know, I've been married to Thane's spirit for some time. I see something so valuable there, so amazing. And not just Thane. I see it in those boys over there. I see it in our kids. I see it. It's evident. It's there. But it can lay there and never materialize unless people become intentional.
Right.
And that's a key word.
Amen.
We can say all we want, how great God is, and what God's going to do. But we're the wheels.
That's it.
To get things going. It's not going to do it on his own. He doesn't work that way. He uses us. And I think, I believe that this upcoming year, we have to be very intentional with our young people. We do. And I don't mean just teenagers. I'm talking about from kids my granddaughter's age, their ages. We have to be intentional about encouraging them, blessing them, and loving on them. With all of our hearts. They are the future, not just of this building and of this church. They are the future of the church as a whole. Amen. So, in saying that, it's been some time back. I was in my office at home, and I was in just a really, really good prayer time with God. And I was asking some things in particular. I was asking Him to show me some things from my life. Where are you sending me? What do you want me to do? And I was brought to the 12th chapter of 1 Corinthians. Most of you know that is the chapter of gifts, and the miracles, and the signs, and the wonders. And I read it, and I read through it, and I was intrigued by it. Obviously, I've read it a bazillion times over. But it wasn't what He wanted to show me. And He showed me something visually that I will never forget. And I think about it all the time. Then I wrote it down. It's kind of a rough draft. It's a picture of something. But we were doing a conference setting somewhere. It was Carolina, I don't know. And I seen this building. Throw that building up there real quick. Or slow, I don't care either way, however you want to do it. Now, that's hard for you to see, so I'm going to clarify what this is. There was a large, standing outside of a large building. And there were two conferences going on at one time in the same place. On your left, the headline across the top of that said, Sign, Wonders, and Miracles. And if you'll see the scratch marks, those are all circles and X's of people that had filled that building. Literally to capacity was filled. And I seen that, and I seen a line standing outside for others to get in. The other side of the same conference that was going on was, I want to show you how to love. And there was a handful of people sitting in that building. They were captivated by the signs and the wonders and the miracles. And I read the 12th, or that chapter in Corinthians, you know what it says at the very end of the chapter?
Love.
This is awesome. This is what it says at the very end of chapter 12. After he talks about the words of knowledge and faith and everything, and this is how he closes the chapter. But covet earnestly the best gifts.
Yes.
And yet, I want to show you a more excellent way.
Amen.
And you know what the next chapter is about?
Love.
Love. And I knew what God was showing me. I knew he wanted to take me to a deeper place, not for so much for my love for him, but my love for people. Because I'll be honest with you, I spent a lot of time not loving people like I ought to love people. When I first came to church here, and I'm ashamed to say this, but it's the truth. I was the first one after service. I was out the door because I didn't want to shake hands with everybody. I wanted to get home. So I was. I was like, we did our service, we did our church thing, right? I was like, get the kids, let's go. We're done. I earned my paycheck. And that was wrong. That was so wrong to me. Now, things have changed now. She tells me, I'm going to go get in the car while you're saying your goodbye to her to everybody. Because I love to be in the house, and I love to be around people. And I love to show the love of God to people.
Right.
And I think that is, I've got several spiritual sons, and it's the first thing that I tell them more than anything else is you wear God and you wear God well to others.
Right.
How you conduct yourself publicly to people speaks more than the Bible ever will.
Amen.
We have to be very intentional about how we love people. I want to tell you a little testimony of something that just happened as God closed out my year on my job. So here's how I start my day. I go out and I get in my car. As I set the driveway, my prayer is this. It's not a repetitious prayer, it's an earnest prayer. Father, show me, lead me, guide me today, keep me safe on the roads, but let me be a blessing to somebody, even if I don't know it. Even if I don't know it. So I'm in Carmel, okay? And this is yesterday, and I'm going about doing my houses, and I have one interior inspection. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Carmel or not. They're not $25,000 homes. Their living rooms maybe $25,000, or their toilets maybe, but their houses are not $25,000. I had a $750,000 home that I had to inspect. So I ring the doorbell, and I kind of span the room, and the closest person in this room would probably be Clay, that mirror image the man that came to the door. How tall are you?
Oh, around 6'4".
That's about what he was. And you're a pretty big guy, but you were a little girl compared to this guy. And he opened the door, he knew I was coming, his wife had told him, and he wasn't happy. He didn't seem happy, and all of a sudden I'm intimidated. Yeah, I'm going to have to find something for your shoes. I don't want you coming in here like that. I'm like, I'm going to take them off. It's okay. So I get in the house, and my mind's working. I mean, like challenges.
That's right.
I thought, I got a challenge in front of me, Lord. And I really wasn't thinking how I'm going to get through the door. I was just like, okay, let's get through this thing civilly. I get into his kitchen, and I said something about, I can't remember exactly how I went into it, but I said, he said, I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I said, really? I said, I got a spiritual son there. He said, a spiritual son? You go to church? I said, yeah. I said, I do some evangelism. I'm a pastor. And
That's right.
the door was open.
That's right.
Yes.
We're standing there talking, and he's asking me about God, and he's asking me about the Bible. And I've gone through his house, and he says, would you come in the living room and just talk to me? This dude's big, John. I almost asked him, did you play football for like the Rams or something? I mean, just a big guy. And he sits down in his chair, and he says, I feel like you need to pray for me. Would you pray for me? Put one down, pen down.
Mercy.
he starts confessing. He opens the door of confession.
There you go.
My wife and I are in struggles right now. I don't know this guy's first name. I had the wrong order ticket. I was calling him Patrick, and his name was Charles, and he says, first of all, where'd you get Patrick? And I'm like, oh, I'm at the wrong house. I got the wrong guy. He says, well, hang on. And all of it, he says, you know, he said, I'm a rough person, and I know that. He said, but I want to love people. I want to love my wife. I've been married 1.5 years. My first wife died. We were married 31 years, and I wasn't a good husband. And I don't want to repeat the process over again. Would you pray for me? And I was sitting there, trying to begin a prayer, thinking, God, you are absolutely off the charts. You're amazing. And this is what's going through my mind as I'm getting ready to pray. I'm in a $750,000 home. This guy's obviously got money, but he's a mess.
Right. That's right. Jesus.
We automatically categorize people as if they've got it all together because of what they drive and where they live and how they dress. There's not a man born among us that doesn't need God, and if he doesn't have God, somewhere in the midst of him, he's miserable. So I sit down and I'm processing this whole thing, and I thought, okay, God, let's just get real. Let's really pray. I wasn't there to pray. I wasn't going to pray superficial prayer. I was going to get my balls already in his living room. I may as well just get into his life. So I started praying. And I started disrupting some things. And all of a sudden, this 6'4", 200+ muscle guy starts sobbing before God. He's on his knees. And I'm like, oh my Lord, we're having a Holy Ghost reunion right here in this house. He gets done and he says, you know what? I was reading the Bible today. I was an hour ago, I spent an hour, he said, a few minutes ago before you came, I was an hour reading my Bible. And I want to know how I can love my fellow man and not be as obnoxious as I am. And that is the commission to the body of Christ, is how are we going to love the world? We're not going to, they don't give a rip about your giftings and your signs and your wonders and your miracles. We can be a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal if we don't have the love of God and we don't carry him well. So I get done praying with him. He wants my number. We've become prayer partners, covenant partners. I didn't even get in my car out the driveway. He's already sent me a text that God sent you to my house. And we are now prayer partners. And we're going to walk this thing out together. God has an intentional people in our life. He said, where do you go? I said, you go to church? He said, yeah, I go to church. He says, it's about 14,000 people. And I wanted to say, yeah, you're lost there. That's just a place that people go to hide sometimes. I'm not killing mega, don't get me wrong, but that's truth.
Amen.
There's a lot of giftings in these 14,000 member churches that's not being distributed into the world.
That's right.
2020 has to look like this. It doesn't matter how many, how much we grow numerically.
That's it.
Signs cannot be about numerics.
Right.
The spiritual status of a church is not how big. I asked the church in Muncie, or in Monticello when we were preaching, I said, what's a great church? I asked them this question, what is a great church? Now, if I was to put that out there, and people would be honest about it, they would say a full parking lot, hundreds of people, how great their worship team is, yada, 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 what they've got in the bank. Well, that, you know what, that, all you're saying there is if we got enough money, we can have a great church. That's all you're saying. It's not about the numerics. It's about what's in here.
Right. Yes.
I was excited, kind of, when I pulled in, and there wasn't a whole lot of people here, because I remember settings like this on New Year's Eve, when not everybody came out, and we had such blowout services, because it just got quick. He just said it, it's just us. It got real impersonal, and all of a sudden people let their hair down, and we let the Spirit of God move in the house.
That's it. That's it.
So I'm going to wind it up, because we got other people to say things, but I was jotting a couple things down right in the middle of worship. Anybody ever feel this in worship around here? Sunday morning, you wish to God you had a microphone in your hand so you could say something. Is there anybody besides me? You know what was nuts Sunday morning? And him and I used to do this all the time. All the time. This was a daily thing. Amy's singing this song, even when I don't know it, you're working. When you said, even when I don't know it, you're working. You never stop working. I'm standing right here. And I thought, there was this guy, this Gadarene guy, that had no idea that Jesus is getting in a boat, crossing the other side of the sea. He had no idea that Jesus was getting ready to work in his life.
Yeah.
I wanted to grab the microphone and come up and say that very thing. I'm standing back there at that time. By this time, I got the mic in my hand. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say this. And the Lord said, don't. I said, okay. I won't. Because he did. I mean, what he preached on, that very passage of Scripture, Luke chapter 8, about Jesus crossing the other side of the water to get to that man that was demon-possessed. When the Spirit of God flows in this house, everybody in the world wants a microphone.
Right.
That's a good church.
Yeah.
That's a good church. Because you know that God's moving, God's speaking, and God's delivering, and God's working.
Right.
This is going to be a great year, and here's how I'm going to close this. This is what I want to say. I want to speak to men. So I want to say one thing to men. Guys, I feel like we need to be intentional with our worship.
Right.
I think men, we need to step it up to the next level.
Amen.
Men do.
Right. Yes.
I see this place littered with ladies. Where's the men?
Amen.
Now you don't like me. I don't care. It's the man.
Right.
Where are the men?
Right.
It is 2020 needs to be the year of the man.
That's right.
Yielding to the presence of God,
Yes.
yielding to worship God,
Yes.
and I want to challenge the church as a whole that our time of worship and our time of praise becomes a war zone.
Yes.
It's not about you, it's about people in your life that you can stand and make up a difference for them through the spirit of worship. I do it every single Sunday, others do it every Sunday. This is a war zone. It's not about my praise, it's about who I'm standing in praise for. Amen. God bless you.